Real estate mistakes you should avoid. Let's look at all the candidates that are running here in Sarnia, Lambton for the upcoming provincial election. Also, what's their stance on affordable housing and how we're going to fix it. And we're also going to talk about the new federally proposed anti-flipping tax. And that's This Week in Housing on Ryan Out Loud. Let's first start with who everyone is that is running in the upcoming provincial election here in Sarnia, Lambton. And let's look at some of their views on affordable housing and what their thoughts are to fix it. It's a big topic question we're seeing right now. It's a very hot topic, affordable housing, especially as the market is the way it is right now. We went to, my wife visited one with the real estate board, and I went to one of the Sarnia Lambton Chamber a few weeks back. And I don't think anyone really gave us a clear answer on how to fix affordable housing and how they're going to move forward. It seemed like most of their answers, as usual, were not a direct answer, and also just more through more taxation of investment properties and stuff like that. I don't see any clear answers coming in this provincial election as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think any of these candidates actually have a true winning strategy for how to fix affordable housing here in Sarnia Lambton, the province in general? And we talked about this last week a little bit, and I think it really comes down to cutting down the red tape to make it easier to develop land and get homes built faster. And same with how much it costs to get a permit and stuff like that. And that alone would cut down so much red tape. Like in Ontario, why do we have a land transfer tax to electronically change the ownership of land for about 1% of the purchase price? Like, that's a huge barrier right there, considering the average home price in Sarnia Lambton is $500,000, and if you're not a first-time home buyer, that's a $5,000 tax almost, and that could be a big barrier to someone if they could make or break their purchase. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on that. And then the other great article here we have too is creating an outdoor space for cooking in your yard. So a couple things we always want to think about when doing this is, I love an outdoor kitchen. I love entertaining. So we want to look at what's the connection point from inside the house to outside the house where the outdoor kitchen is going to be. Always think about space. Always think about how much covered space you can have, which is absolutely fantastic. Also, don't overthink it. And also, don't forget about what fuel source you're going to need. So, natural gas in the area, propane, how will you have access for that as well? And a great thing is just to research it online, Google it, House, Pinterest, all those places, come up with your design. And necessarily doesn't have to be this big, expensive outdoor kitchen set you're going to buy that's going to make or break your yard. And really, if you do it right, it could add tremendous value to your property without breaking the bank and maybe using your existing stuff already. Are you going to have a fridge, plumbing, stuff like that? Check out this article here from realtor.ca. Absolutely amazing to check out. So Watford, they're getting a new community center. Their fundraising has reached $1.1 million. That's absolutely amazing. That's going to be big news for Watford and that new community center to build that. Also great for housing in the area. It's just another a reason to buy in those small rural communities inside of Lambton County. So definitely want to check out Watford, that $1.1 million that they're doing there as well. And the major apartment complex proposed near Lambton Mall. So if you're growing up in Sarnia, you probably remember the Lambton 9 Cinema movie theater. That was a hard word, obviously, for me today. And then also Norm's Pub. I guess, what was it? The Green Room before that. I think everyone remembers the memories there. So they want to build some apartment buildings there. And this is another perfect example of affordable housing and fast-tracking this. This should be, let's go, when can we start? It's great for the tax base. It's going to be, I think, 324 rental units. Also right by the college, so some of them maybe can house students, and that will help free up some housing in Sherwood where we're using those homes as student rentals when we shouldn't be. Also, you don't need a car to live there. All the shopping's there, all the malls there, you're on transit, you got highway access. It's a no-brainer. I really hope to see City fast-track this and get this approved ASAP, because this is just another example here of let's have things going. The rezoning application, then they have to go through, and then it's going to take a few months. It should be fast tracked. This is 330 units. Let's get up and running. Because the longer these things wait is the more they're going to cost. That's the big problem with these projects here right now as well. Now let's look at a couple things you should avoid, some mistakes you should avoid when buying a house in Sarnia, Lambton here. When the market changes, will the market change before I need to sell? We really don't know. Will it appraise for the value we're doing? And if you're buying a house cash with a house to sell and it's a super duper long closing date, what are some backup plans you can have in place in case something goes wrong? And that's something we're seeing right now with a lot of these long closing dates now is we are seeing some issues with some closings, especially the people that are coming from the GTA as well. Let's look now into the anti-flipping tax proposed by the federal government. Do you think it's a good idea? Should we be taxing people that are improving properties and flipping properties? And will it have the effect they want to slow down the market and housing stock? So I can see a couple things very wrong with this. The federal government's like, yeah, we're going to add money to the budget. I think they said something like 52 or $62 million, which is a lot of money. But really, it isn't a lot of money in the grand scheme of things when it's putting housing on the market. One thing it doesn't tackle is it doesn't create any more housing stock. It sounds good. It sounds good to a lot of their basis about adding that 62 million or so into the budget. But if I'm going to flip a home, now if you flip that home within the first year of owning it is when the tax kicks in. I'm just going to flip a home and have it take a year. And I'm just going to factor into my cost holding that home for a bit longer. So by doing that, any flipper that's smart, they're going to be like, well, I'm going to avoid that tax by holding it on the market and save a whole lot more money than it is the cost to hold it. So all you're doing there is the people that are flipping the homes, it's going to be worth even more money by having to wait a year to go on the market. So I don't think it helps. I don't think it's going to have the impact that the federal government is hoping for. Because again, it's not putting any housing stock on the market. And guess what? People like buying fixed up homes. Like if you look at the homes that go crazy and bananas in the bidding wars are the fixed up homes. The homes that are estate sales and they need work and stuff like that, those aren't going nearly as bananas as the ones that are all fixed up. So I think they kind of missed the mark on that, but we'll see what happens. Well, that's another episode of This Week in Housing here in Sarnia, Lambton on Ryan Out Loud.